There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today I am borderline speechless, which is not a good thing for a podcast. But I am speechless because The Wrong Cat Died started as a 10-episode miniseries, and the episode you are listening to right now is episode number 100. So before we get to the 100th episode, which we will tell you all about, I wanted to walk you through a little bit about how we got to where we are today. And what better way to do that than to talk to the person who is the whole reason that this podcast even exists. He is the host of the theater podcast with Alan Seals and the producer of The Wrong Cat Died. Welcome, Alan.
Hey, I would say I'm the reason the podcast exists because you are the podcast.
You are the reason this podcast exists. So let's start there, which is this is part of the Broadway Podcast Network. And so we've known each other for longer than that. We got to know each other back in probably 2016, 17, when we started doing work together at our jobs, work, and got to know each other there. But tell us a little bit about the Broadway Podcast Network and how that got started.
BPN started, I guess, after I had my own podcast. So the theater podcast, which I just picked randomly because the domain was strangely available. I was trying to think of all these clever things, and all the domains were taken. So I was just like, the theater podcast. All right, we'll go with that. So that happened, and then I created it because I wanted to have conversations and listen to conversations about, people in the industry and their journeys and their struggles with success and all that. And then I couldn't find anything. There was a discoverability issue. As soon as I created my podcast, I found a bajillion others that were similar or better or different in all their specific ways. And then I was like, wait a second, I couldn't find these when I wanted to, and that just gave me the impetus to put them all together in this network. And around that exact same time, met Dori Berenstein, my co-founder of the network, and she's, a four-time Tony winner and producer of a bajillion shows on Broadway over her many-decade career. And through her knowledge of the Broadways and my knowledge of the techs and the podcasts, here we are. And when we'll get into this, of course, but when the opportunity to create The Wrong Cat Died popped on, I was like, there we go. Let's run with this.
Yeah, but if we go back to when you really first started, I remember you kept asking me to do a podcast. You're like, hey, you should create a podcast. And I'm just like, everything I was working on with you at the time was sports related. I was doing sports related content with you. So I was working with, basketball players and race car drivers and Olympians and everything else. And it was all sports. And you're like, you got to do something. And I'm like, it's the Broadway Podcast Network, not the sports related network. I was like, I don't know anything about Broadway besides going. And turns out I have a history with cats. And it is not the long history that everyone probably thinks. It's not didn't go as a child, which is why you hear my please don't bring kids to the show, which we went this past weekend, which is part of what you're going to hear, where there was lots of kids everywhere, kids all around the theater. So clearly I'm the minority of that belief. But I did take a look back and dug up the history of my cat's fandom. I'll call it fandom, fascination.
Healthy obsession.
And yeah, healthy obsession. It stems from my move to New York. So I moved to New York in 2016 for work from Indiana. And I was living in the theater district in temporary housing. Just basically me and a suitcase and a backpack is all I had at the time. And I just remember kind of saying, we had in, all these different shows were coming in. It was right around the Tony time. So all these new things are opening up. And I didn't know any of this at the time. But I'm like, oh, there's all these new shows starting. I can walk to them. I can go. Let's go. And I had a friend that gave me 2 tickets for free. I kind of said, I just want to see anything, just what's coming out, what I haven't seen, what historic classic things, Les Mis was out, Phantom was out, all these things. I'd never seen any of them. And so I'm like, what can we go? And they're like, well, Cats just opened. You should come see Cats. So we go to the second to last preview of the preview before their opening night. It's a weekend. It's a matinee show. It's a Saturday, raining. I'm like 8 rows from the audience, or from the stage. I'm in the middle. Thankfully, I'm in the middle because this is when they did Green Eyes, so they were climbing around. And I just was mesmerized for 2.5 hours. And I didn't know what to make of it. Like I really didn't. I didn't know anything about it going in. I knew Memory, but I didn't know Memory was in the show. Like when I heard it, I'm like, oh, I know that song. And nothing else. I knew the punchlines. Like I remember the Team America kind of rough joke about it. Like you just remember some of that stuff, but I just knew it existed. I didn't know anything else past that. And at the time I was writing a newsletter home to people in Indiana. When I moved, a bunch of people told me they wanted to hear about my experiences. Hundreds of people actually sent me their emails. So I said, sure, enough people are going to read this. I'll write it. And I have it pulled up because I started that post by saying, I generally update you on my lives and adventures of New York. And that's the main reason most of you come to read this. And this post is going to be devoted to the longest running musical that is currently being revived on Broadway, Cats. And it's because it's the only thing I could think about after seeing it. So this article that exists still, which I'm not going to say, it's pretty hard to find. I hope people don't look for it. It's kind of fun. I'm gonna read you the highlights because the rest is kind of not very great. This is, I would say, less than 24 hours after seeing the show. This is what I wrote. And so I'm going to kind of cover a couple of the things I thought. I think the first thing I thought is nobody could explain to me the plot, which now 100 episodes in, I can tell you there's a lot more plot than you realize. But I wrote the Wikipedia description, and then I said, I've read the synopsis, I've seen the show, I still don't know what the fuck I witnessed. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I had so many questions. I went on a rant about how I don't think kids should see it. I went on a rant about the names. And then I did talk about how the dancing was incredible. But the one other line I want to add there is I said why kids shouldn't see it is I said last night I had a nightmare that Mungo Jerry was in my apartment robbing me. And so as an adult, this has permanently scarred me. So I can't imagine as a kid. And I read this back.
But
and
not
I'm
McCavity, Mungo Jerry.
No, it was Mungo Jerry. I probably didn't remember McCavity's name, to be honest. The only thing I walked out of that song theater singing was Mungo Jerry Rebel Teaser. I just sang it for like the next probably week. But that was my history with Cats. And I saw it in 2016. I ended up going exactly a year later in 2017 when a friend from Indiana visited and was like adamant that we see it. And then I never thought about Cats again until 2019 when that movie trailer came out. And that trailer came out and I got so many texts that I had decided that it's like, okay, it's time to make a joke about this. So I went and I put on social media, and if you look, I've posted this before, if you look about it, I spelled Andrew Lloyd Webber's name wrong. Like there's a lot of problems with it. And so the trailer comes out and I have a meme and it says, I haven't stopped thinking about the Cats trailer since it dropped on Thursday. Thanks a lot, Andrew Lloyd Webber. And it's a picture of me giving what looks like I'm giving a speech. It's not a speech. I'm just giving a housekeeping for an event that I was moderating. But I wrote on there, the wrong cat dies at the Jellicle Ball and the Cats movie will set the record straight. My name is Mike Abrams. Welcome to my TED Talk. And it ended up on Instagram, Facebook, and a couple other things. And you immediately commented below, you should make a podcast called The Wrong Cat Died. And that is the history of how this podcast exists. Because I just remember seeing that going, that's not a bad idea. And I thought, let's maybe figure out 10 episodes. Let's see if I can find anything about the plot and the history and the fandom and what was there. And I'm like, if I can find enough, I'll write you one. If I can find enough, we'll do 10. And we kind of figured out how we'd make this work. And the first one was just fascinating to write. I found so much information about Old Deuteronomy. Couldn't get over the fandom and all the like crazy theories people had put together. And I started writing 10 episodes, which I'm horrified to listen to. I don't know if you've listened to them in the past, but now with what I know at 100 episodes, I'm horrified to think about what my theories are from the first 10, that a lot of them have to be like clearly wrong because I was doing them in order. And I didn't know the 9th and 10th character at all when I was writing the first 2 or 3. So I'm like learning as I'm going, as we're recording these every week leading up to the movie. And it was a blast. I don't remember, how was it like for you on that side, like as the editor of that, hearing my just raw interpretation of a show I've only seen twice?
What's interesting, there's a couple things I want to touch on. The first one is that I don't remember giving you the title. Now that you said it, I'm like, okay. But it's funny how memory works, no pun intended, because what I remember in my mind is that Facebook post where the text on the image says the wrong cat died. Welcome to my TED Talk. That's what I thought you posted. I didn't realize. Okay, all right.
Oh.
So anyway,
You
all right,
wrote it.
There we
You
go.
wrote
So memory is faulty and funny. Okay, no pun intended.
All right,
there you go.
Grisabella.
And what was interesting, like you said, we just came from the national. We were filming and recording all weekend with the national tour of Cats in Washington D.C. at the National Theater, and I've seen the show several times. I've grown up with the music, and I've now worked with you on 100 episodes, including those first 10. And every time I talk to you, there's something new that I still didn't realize. That, like, going back in, right? We saw the show twice this past weekend, and I'm like, okay, yeah, so there's a character named Peter. I missed that. All right, so Bombalurina. All right, I know who she is now. I guess I just missed when she was introduced in the music somewhere. Wherever like, there's all these little things that, unless you are so into the show that you actually look into researching it like you've done, you have no fucking clue any of this. Like, there's Baby Grizz and all the extra characters of who plays who, and then you get into the actual logistics of the business of the show of, like, if you're a swing, then you go this track, but this track includes these multiple characters, so one person could be doing this and this and this, and it blows my mind how much real data there is, and then what was extra fun to have you to experience in real time with you is every time we go into the studio to record those first 10 episodes, you're like, you're not going to believe the fan fiction about this character. I can't.
And we definitely had some moments because we were doing those first 10 in the studio, and it was always like, here's your window, and then there's somebody coming in for an interview. And I just remember there was a couple times, and I won't say who the actors were coming in to do interviews, but I was finishing saying some of the most ridiculous, like, sentences you could possibly imagine, like something about Taylor Swift giving Buster Jones a lap dance, or, you know, like, and then in walks this, like, Broadway star, and I'm like, they're gonna have no idea what's going on. Like how do I explain to them what's happening? And turns out that's kind of the genesis of how we ended up with 100, is because as those things happen, someone's like, why don't you just talk to the 2016 cast? And about halfway through, I was like, that sounds fun. Let's talk to them. So we got put in touch, and the very first one was Maria Filia, and she was a booth singer, which I didn't know existed. Again, another crazy part of Cats. And then we had Christopher Gurr, who was Gus on the 2016. And I remember Christopher came into the studio with us, and just for weeks we were like, is he gonna find this funny? Like, is he gonna be okay with this? And, like, he was a joy. He was so fun, and it was like, I was like, wait, maybe this is what we keep doing, because we saw the movie, we got the 10, we saw the movie, and then it was like, do we want to continue? And I had a lot of people lined up who wanted to talk about it, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll just start doing these interviews. And then I started to realize that, like, over time, not only am I documenting the history of Cats, like, full on getting from people who are experiencing it in various different productions, but I'm also hearing all these different theories, and you got some that aren't necessarily truth, or maybe is not written, and you've got certain cast members in different productions saying that's not true, but this is true, and this is true, but that's true, and you got a lot of wide range. And so we're here 100 episodes later, and I think I wanted to call it a couple highlights, and then I wanted to give some stats, because I did pull some stats for this 100th episode. So a couple highlights are, one is we did the Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS with the U.S. National Tour number 3, where we did a live event for the reopening of Broadway and fundraise for Broadway Cares, which was super cool to have them come on. And with that, I wrote a parody of Memory that was performed and created with a music video and all. That was, like, super fun. That, again, never would have thought could have possibly happened. But the part that kind of really blows my mind is everyone's always asked, how many episodes are you going to do? I'm like, well, as long as people want to talk to me from the cast, I'm in. And it's an endless population of people. I have already talked to 14 different productions, official productions. That's not including regional, college, anything else. once we get to episodes 100 plus, which a handful are already recorded, that number goes up to 18 that I'm aware of. So I've talked to the 1998 movie, original Broadway, original West End, 2016 Broadway, Vienna Revival, West End Revival, U.S. tours, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pre-pandemic, 6 now, Oasis of the Seas, which is Royal Caribbean, and the 2020 South Korea cast. You're going to add U.S. Tour 1. I'm going to add the Australian 10 tour. I'm going to add the European tour in the 90s. I'm going to add a German production. Got all of these continuing to go. And these have been going on for years. It's currently, as of today, running in 5 different cities. So when we were seeing it, we were one of 5 cities running that night. And so it's just an endless group of people. So I will continue documenting Cats history as long as people are willing to continue to talk with me. And, of course, debate the most important thing, which is the Jellicle choice. Which is the other part.
Before you get into this final stat, which I think is really interesting, I want to call out, too, that I don't know if you mentioned this on the podcast. I know that others have mentioned it in their interviews with you, but new people joining new casts are listening to episodes from past cast members in their roles they're swinging into or taking over, so that they can understand more of the backstory and how other people have done it before them. So you're literally documenting how everybody is doing their characters. Is becoming their cats, so that the new people taking over can have an easier time jumping in the same way. It's fascinating in that regard.
Yeah, that was one of the few things that really blew my mind is when I heard that originally. And I've heard it a couple times, so I know it's happening more than once, is that, you get the Chrissy Cartwright telling you what your 3 words are on your story when you go in, but then you get to go as you try to do your own creative process. You can hear a couple other people who have done it in different variations and different productions, and they are using the episodes to kind of get maybe not exactly how they're going to do it, but here's how they tackled this, this thing or added to it. And then they can kind of build their own version from that. So yeah, it's one of the many things that has been fascinating to hear is that. The other thing is I now have, my whole thesis is I don't think Grisabelle is the right choice. I think, that's evolved over time. You could hear, I thought it should be an X Factor. So that was a very different answer versus saying, I think it should be Gus with Grisabelle staying for the year, which is my current, my current pitch. But I have taken every single episode where someone did rank a vote. And I have the stats and I will share them on social media as well. We have had 13 different Jellicle choices. And I do have 15 since a lot of people have here's my 1 and 2, but this is just number 1 if I made them pick one. Right now, the number 1 vote is Grisabelle. But, I agree. But she only gets 49% of the vote, which means that more than half of the people that I talk to.
We're going off electoral college still, so that's why.
Yeah, we're not doing we're not doing a rank voting either, too. I did notice too, though, when we asked the cast when we were filming with them, and it was not 50-50. It was way more skewed to me. So I think I'm slowly influencing the world on this. That hey, next time when we run this at 200, 300, 400, Grisabelle's numbers are going to go down. But Gus is next at 35. And then you've got Skimbleshanks, Old Deuteronomy, and McCavity, which actually kind of surprised me, have the same amount of votes. And then you've got Victoria, Demeter, Buster Jones, Cassandra, Monkish Trap, Baby Grizz, Jelly Lorem, and Syllabub, who all have 1 vote each.
It's 1%, right? Now, or 1 vote?
Well, it's 1%, but I think it's 1 vote.
Syllabub. Why Syllabub?
Sure it's 1 vote. I got to go back to how a lot of times you get some where it's that was their cat. I do remember the Buster for Jones vote was Donovan Vino, whose argument was he's the biggest strain on the Jellicles. And so that was her reasoning, which I thought was really funny.
He's the biggest resource user.
A challenge. He's a resource user. So if we get him out, we'll be better off. There's a couple old Deuteronomy votes, a couple Skimbleshank votes, but then obviously Gus. So that leads us. Yeah. So that leads us to what you're going to hear, which was, I want to talk a little bit about the experience because it was so much fun. We, for the 100th, we reached out to the cast team, the amazing cast team. It's been so fun to work with, and kind of pitched them this idea of hey, what if we came down there, talk to the cast, hear some of their theories, hear stories, but then also give them an idea to go on stage with, you know. And I'm not going to say like a rewrite the story or change, you know, anything material, but what if we gave them a relationship that maybe isn't common that they could go play off of, or maybe something even more wild, and we gave them a couple, and you'll hear what they are, you know, in this video, and then we got to go watch it, and we told them we were going to sit. And I will tell you, for me personally, it was fascinating because I could see some of those moments where I'm like, I think they're playing into this. I think this is working. And then you can see sometime where they're like looking at us like, oh, this is, you know, they were into it. And this video kind of captures me giving them the idea, hearing from them. And then we went back on Saturday and heard from the group. Did it work? Did it not work? And I think most of them worked. I think a couple of them didn't work, but my goal was always to influence the show. I kept joking, I want to go in and kind of just be a director behind the scenes and say, like, let me give you all the relationships. And it's clear from this video that I have the ability to do it, one, and that it worked, because it did give them something to play off of. They all seem to love it, and they all seem to have the new things that they can kind of go with into future shows, which I think is important too for a tour where they're going city to city to city and need stuff to keep it fresh every 8 days a week. But what did you notice? Did you notice anything watching it? You got to hear all the theories.
It was interesting because the two things I noticed the most was the various mother-daughter or like parental-child relationships that were suggested, because you could see how, especially with Grisabella coming back, if the people who thought they were now, who were playing it, who were now that like they were her offspring, were seeing a little bit differently. And then the relationship between what are the two girls? Bomb
and Demeter.
Yeah.
Bomb
and then you give the suggestion of like Bomb and Demeter, instead of being like siblings, that there's more than that. It's some sort of romantic relationship, and the two actresses like leaned into that hard, and you could tell they were playing around with that. And it was funny because others were commenting that they noticed that and some of the other changes that were made. So it was cool because outside of just the direct interaction with the one-on-one changes you were suggesting, the rest of the cast noticed all of it, and it was a unique show. I hope they continue to use that sort of stuff, right? But the show that we witnessed that Friday night and then into the Saturday matinee, right? Like those two shows, those are unique in a way that I don't know if they'll ever exist in that form again. So like, you know, we've influenced history in a way that's really, really cool.
Yeah. And I loved exactly what you said, which is we gave them the plots one by one, so they weren't together. And so they went back and did the show, and then the next day they were together, and they got to kind of hear like, oh, I was wondering what your thing was, or I didn't notice it, but I saw this and I saw that. And you can see it's just like they're all loving it and having a great time. So what you're going to hear next is actually a video that we put together that kind of pieces together our experience. So what we went hearing from the cast, the ideas, and then some of the follow-up of how those things landed. You'll be able to see the video if you want to. This is going to be the audio from the video, but if you want to watch the video and see everything, you can go to bpn.fm/TWCD100. So it stands for The Wrong Cat Died 100. And you'll be able to see the video live and watch it, or here it will be the audio. So I want to shout out the Cats team, everyone on the production who helped us, Emma, who was gracious enough to make our day super easy, everyone at the National Theater, and then the amazing cast who were just a joy to work with and had so much fun hanging out with us for the 2 days. And I hope you enjoy the video.
My name is Ellie. I am a swing, and I believe the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm José Raúl Mangual, and I do believe the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm Taryn Smithson. I play Rumpleteazer.
Hi, my name is Brian Nelson, and I play Mungo Jerry.
And I believe the wrong cat died. Hi, my name is Yuka. I play Victoria. I think the wrong cat died.
I'm Megan. I play Demeter tonight, and I believe the wrong cat died.
My name is Erica. I play Bomb Ballerina, and I believe that the wrong cat died.
Hi, my name is Michelle E. Carter. I play Jenny Anydots, and I believe that the wrong cat died.
Hey y'all, my name's Zam. I play Skimbleshanks, and I cover Gus, and I believe the wrong cat died.
My name is Luke Bernier. I am playing the Rum Tum Tugger tonight, and I do not believe the wrong cat died.
My name is Ibn Snell. I play Misto, and I do believe the wrong cat died.
Hello, I'm Tayler Harris. I play Grisabella the Glamour Cat, and I do believe the wrong cat did not die. because Grisabella the Glamour Cat is the one and only glamour choice. She is. Wait, the glamour choice? She is the jellicle choice. I mean, she's the glamorous jellicle choice. But yeah, the wrong cat did not die. Thank you.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and I am here at the National Theater in Washington, D.C. I am so excited for the 100th episode. I have been graciously accepted into the U.S. National Tours family and spent the day recording with them and asking them about all the crazy things and how they interpret the show, how they look at everything. And then I gave them a few things to play with on stage. And where I'm standing right now is where Alan Seals of the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals, who also produces this podcast, and I are going to be sitting tonight. And we're going to watch from here, right here in the seat, stage right here, and we're going to watch to see how do those ideas land. And then tomorrow we're going to come back and talk to them and see, does that work as a theory or is it just nonsense? So stay tuned, watch the video, and we'll be back with more tomorrow. What's the wildest thing that you, when you first started doing this, that you realized that maybe you didn't know going in? It's like, because I think Demeter falls in that for me, which is like, oh, that's her backstory. Like, I didn't know that. So that was like my aha moment. What was your kind of, wow, I didn't realize this part of Cats?
Well, I thought it was hilarious when they were talking about Cass, and they were like, and Cass obviously has just gotten back from boarding school. And so I just thought that was really funny to think about, because she is a bit more, hoity-toity into herself. And I could just imagine her inner monologue of just like, oh gosh, like I remember back when I was eating caviar at boarding school.
So Jenny is the mother of the tribe. She's sort of like this motherly, matronly figure who makes sure that everything goes according to plan. She oversees the day-to-day operations, and she makes sure, especially with the younger kittens, that all of them stay in line, and she essentially raises every kitten in this tribe.
Okay.
People call Skimbleshanks the Christmas cat sometimes because I don't even know why, but like sometimes our monkey strap will even say on stage when he's not supposed to Merry Christmas or to me after I hop down from the stairs. But I saw this thing on Tumblr that was like, Skimbleshanks was on the train as a kitten one morning and he was gifted a silver bell from Santa Claus. And ever since then, he's fallen in love with the trains and trying to capture that magic, and that's why he's dedicated to the trains. Probably not canon, but I just thought it was really cute. It gives me a reason to wear my little bell around my neck to remember.
Well, I think a lot of people think they're siblings, which is a common misconception. But we worked with Chrissy Cartwright, and we got the facts that they do have a little bit of a crush on each other.
Okay.
So
well, she has a crush.
I have a crush on Mungo. Okay, fine. I have a crush on Mungo. And so we kind of play it like they're a little Bonnie and Clyde, little duo.
I think when it comes down to it, I like Rump too. I just like flirting with the older female cats in front of her. Can't help myself.
So you're not together, but you're clearly not siblings.
Oh
yeah,
okay.
okay.
End up that way, but at least in my head, we're not together yet.
It's what the kids call a thing.
A thing.
That's what the kids call a thing.
We're seeing the early,
Yes.
parts of this relationship forming.
A real life backstory fact that Chrissy gave us is they're based off the Bisto kids originally. Have you heard this before?
No.
They're on the set. Actually, it's an advertisement. You can get a picture later, I guess.
Okay.
But they were like these poor like street kids that like it was like a Bisto gravy ad, and they'd be at the windowsill like smelling the gravy, and they're like, it's like affordable gravy, so everyone can have it. And it's like luxury. So we're like these poor, scrappy kids was the original conceit. And then Andy, of course, aged us. Now we're teenagers.
I think Tugger and Mistopheles, I think they're purely innocent. I think they're just, for me, they're just besties. It's like,
our besties.
I think Tugger is just like, I think of him as like this big rock star boy, and Mistopheles is just like
his muse.
He's just his muse, his fun like best friend. Like it's like almost like opposites attract, because they couldn't be any more.
And they're both like, they have like high energies and they contrast a little bit.
They do.
So I think they play off of each other so well.
Yeah, and whenever I'm on for Tugger and I catch Ibn at any point in the show, it's always just like this wink in the eye, this sparkle that's like, oh yeah. It's just like, it's an unspoken like bond that they have.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like a true friendship.
First time I saw the cats was like I was young, so I didn't know deep inside story about it. And then once like I started those process rehearsing, and then once I'm like grow up myself too, I was oh okay, that's that, like connecting. So yeah, both like surprising and but yeah, they did like really beautiful way, you know. So it was beautiful way to show the girl like as woman and as like adult, and using your body to tell that story. So doing that choreography every night, like I feel like it's just beautiful.
There was a part of me that kind of came up with this own theory for my own self, was that I'm afraid that if I don't have him, I would be alone, right? Like I wouldn't have the community, and I'm afraid I would turn into what Grisabella is, because she's alone. She, you know, went down the dark path with McCavity. That could very easily happen to me.
Yeah, especially courting McCavity.
Right. So I think I really like following Tay's journey with that, and feeling like I feel bad for her, but also like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to get too close to that. Like, so I play with that a lot too, which is fun. And I think, you know, obviously she's the choice. So I have a sort of like respect for her, and there's a gravity to my relationship with her at the end, because I don't want that to be me. That could very easily have been me, you know?
I don't see them as sisters, but like the relationship is pretty sisterly. I would say older, younger.
Yeah, I think sisterly is the most common that I play, but I think it shifts with like the different people who go on.
I like to believe that normally it's his decision. He just observes the tribe, and it's not so taxing or laborious a decision. This year, I think Old Deuteronomy is seeing something in the tribe that he's not seen, at least in a long time, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and it's dramatically influencing his decision.
And this is something that has really shaped the way that I play her. And I feel like a lot of the rest of the cast, like people definitely have differing opinions on this. I think that Jenny is, well, first off, Deuteronomy is old. Obviously, old Deuteronomy. And I think he's old to the point where this is probably his last year. And that's the reason why Monkey Strap is being trained and being made to orchestrate the Jellicle Ball this year, is because Dude is training him so that he can run it next year and be the one to take it over. And then Jenny is obviously assisting with that and helping to make sure that Monk is staying in line and all that. That being said, I think that this tribe would sort of fall apart without Jenny. I don't think realistically she's a good choice for the Jellicle choice, especially this year. But given the circumstances of Deuteronomy and his impending passing, and this tribe not having an older figure to step in, I don't, at the end of the day, think that she deserves to die at the end.
So she's needed still,
Or more so that she deserves it, but that she's so needed that she can't.
Grisabella totally deserves to be the Jellicle choice, first and foremost, always the Jellicle choice. Because I think, like, I don't know, who doesn't love an underdog? Or in this case, an undercat? Did it? Yeah. Shh. I've been waiting to say that. But I don't know, like, I think going back to the 3 words that I received for Grisabella in the initial process almost a year and a half ago, so exciting, proud, indomitable, and hurt. That feline, literally, despite everyone, like, hating her and not wanting her there, she still shows up because she's like, no, you guys are going to eventually hear me. And I think that perseverance deserves so much admiration and praise for just like, despite like what everyone else may want her to do, she's like, well, I'm going to do it this way and you're going to eventually listen. And they do. So, per.
But I think you should have another year. So why are you not next year's Jellicle choice? Like, don't you want to come back and have your Victoria's birthday party and all the other stuff coming back to the tribe?
Maybe just a little bit, because I mean, you do see me kind of like get with it in the Jellicle Ball when I sneak in, and I'm like kind of like mirroring what Victoria does, because I'm like, oh, I remember this, I still remember. But honestly though, nah, I want to go to the heavy.
You're done. You're it. It's like I'm. This is it. I got to come back. You don't want another year.
The time I knew what happiness was, I want to go up now.
Yeah.
Very much.
Okay.
That. I mean, To be fair, they also clapped when I died last night, and that never happens. And I've done this show like over 400 times now, so that was a win in my book for redemption even further.
Taylor, the head music guy, he was like, I want to hear you sing this McCavity interval, and just kept plunking out like McCavity. And I was like, in my head, like panicking, because I was like, I don't understand what he's saying. Like, what is this word that he's saying? And so before I sang, I was like, I'm so sorry. Are you saying my cavity? And like Chrissy was in the room, Kim Craven was in the room, everyone was, and they just started busting out laughing. And he was like, no, McCavity is the name of a cat in the show. And I was like, obviously mortified. Made a joke about the dentist, and it was fine. But yeah, that was hilarious.
Also, like, what part of like is the opening even like part of the timeline, or is that like something that sits alone by itself? To me, it kind of seems like a prologue, and then it really starts with Victoria's dance of like that is the first thing of the night.
Okay, now we're getting into this. This is great. So you have, I like that part. Is the prologue is not even part of the night.
Yeah, because it's just like why do we all leave to then make an entrance like we're seeing each other for the first time?
Yep. Okay. So, what other things have you kind of filled in the blanks on that maybe you weren't told?
The relationship to like Mungo and Rump, I think, is really cool. I happen to be like good friends with, you know, both Brian and Taryn, so I'm sure that there's parts of that bleed into it.
I've actually come up with something for Tugger, which is, I haven't heard it before, and it's been around for, you know, so many years that, so maybe someone else has thought of this, but I actually just told Tay Grisabella this a couple of days ago on Instagram Live. I have this theory that, so we have the three the three Deuteronomy brothers, McCavity, Monk, and Tugger. Right. And we know that Grisabella, or, you know, we theorize or whatever, that Grisabella is Monk's mom. Okay. I don't think that Grisabella is Tugger's mom. I think Tugger and Grisabella have a relationship of sorts that's happening during the, you know, the time frame of the show. So we know that they're both not in the opening. And I think that's a little bit intentional. And then after the song Rum Tum Tugger during, you know, Grisabella the Glamour Cat, she comes out, we're all singing at her, whatever. And when she leaves, Tugger leaves the stage right when she does. And for me, that's, you know, that's his time to like check in on her, not like like interact with her, but, you know, watch her from afar to make sure that she, you know, is safe and is not dying at that point. So I think he has a secret little affair with her going on.
So do you think he's the reason she comes back this year? Like, if you're not are you with her when you're not in the opening number and you're bringing her back?
I don't think he's bringing her back. I think he has a soft spot in his heart for her that maybe he doesn't even know because he's just this egomaniac of a cat. But I think when he sees her, like, I think for him, and for all the cats really, but Grisabella really is his seeing her during the timeline of like the song Memory is his time to be like, oh my gosh. I think
resonate.
And I always, they tell us like there's a certain part in the song that we have to turn around, that each individual cat has their own time. And when she says,
are you first?
No. I kind of do it whenever. But I decided to start doing it when she goes, I can smile at the old days. I was beautiful then. Okay. And that's when he's like, no, like, you're so beautiful now. And I've always thought that. And so that's his like turning point in the show for me. He's like, no, I love this woman.
Yeah. I think a lot of the choices that I've made have to do with who Jenny is actually familially related to and who she's not, because she obviously acts as a mother to everyone, but realistically, which ones actually came out of her and which ones didn't makes a lot of difference in how you interact with them. So I definitely, probably the biggest one is, I think Mungo Jerry is mine, which I don't think I've ever heard anyone else talk about it, but I mean, part of the reason that even happened is because Brian, who plays Mungo Jerry this year, and I are just really, really excellent friends off stage. And we interact so much on the stage that it just sort of naturally started happening where I would just like dote on him as a mother and be like, oh, my sweet, sweet Mungo who can do no wrong. And I really don't think Jenny has any idea of the type of crap that Mungo's into behind the scenes, and that he is in with McCavity, and that, you know, he's stealing pearls and all this stuff. And all I know is that he's hanging out with this Rumple Teaser girl, and that I don't think she's good enough for him. And I think that if you watch closely, you can see a lot of that.
My theory is that we found each other because we were the same kind of cat. So I wouldn't have been like friends with the junkyard people if I didn't know him. He was the one who introduced me to the tribe, and that's kind of where I play with it too.
And I very much think I'm Jenny's son, and that is also a belief of our Jenny. It's not like a theory that I have that I keep secret from the other actor.
yeah.
No, we've talked about it, and we actually play that on stage.
She doesn't really like me either.
So you haven't won.
She doesn't approve of
I
me.
can do no wrong in some ways, but she sees everything I do, and it's actually a really fun line to play with her.
Okay.
So I cover Jenny also, and I like to think of Mungo as Jenny's son, and mostly it's just because they have one arm warmer, and most people have more than one, two, but I like that because he's always up to no good, and then Jenny's like getting him to stop. Yeah.
But I do like having the attitude towards them of like, I sort of, in the same way that we all change our minds a little bit about Grizz, I feel like throughout the show, and as they stop being loyal to McCavity, I feel like I sort of changed my opinion on them as well, because they probably like in the moments that I'm mischievous, that probably creeps out, because like I'm sure I was like that before I had this responsibility that I've given myself in my own head about keeping the trains on time. I think I was probably like a Mungo Jerry Rumple teaser until I got that responsibility, and now it's something that I really pride myself in.
Okay, I love
The way that I'm playing it, and I think Zam is also playing it, is that Skimble and Jenny are definitely together. Some people play that they're just like besties and that they're just having lots of fun on the car boot together all the time. I think they're together far too often for that to be platonic. So I definitely think they're together, and especially the way that we play it. I mean, we're sweat cuddling is what I call it. Because we're literally just actively sweating on each other, but we're cuddling the whole time on the car boot.
Maybe the weirdest is for me, as I also cover Plato McCavity, and in doing so, Plato has a developmental issue that is he's battling with, and in his courting Victoria, it's a force beyond him that is leading him to her, and that force happens to be his alter ego, which is McCavity. They're never at the same place at the same time, and they actually share similar choreographic moments. So when I'm one or the other, it's the other cat fighting through.
I've always found that like I did the show on Royal Caribbean as well, and a lot of our blocking and choreography, I was next to Plato a ton, and I found that like in this version as well, I'm with Plato a lot, and there's a moment at the end of the ball where Plato, Sam Buchanan, who plays Plato here, he puts his arm out and like kind of protects me to back off from Grizz, and it's a moment where I'm like, does Plato get around? And like, because
he's with Victoria, right? Yeah.
And I'm like, and Bomb, she's voluptuous, right? So and she's very sexual as well, sensual. So I feel like they probably have been together at some point, maybe around the time she went to McCavity, but even though he has a younger.
I think what's going on is like, I think at that point, like pre-McCavity, she's very much like in the scene. She's kind of like the belle of the ball pre-Victoria. There's a lot of even deeper theories about how Victoria is my character's daughter.
So do you think that?
I do.
Okay.
I do kind of think that. I also think Monkey Strap is my son. For sure, I would say Bomb and Demeter, they were my friends. They were there with me. And they were able to escape, and I kind of got stuck in it and just too sucked in. So, like...
How do you interpret the relationship with Grisabella?
I think Victoria see her as... Like, Grisabella is, like, really innocent. When Grisabella was younger, she was like Victoria. So Victoria sees her like really innocent, like why everybody like hate her, why? She doesn't understand. She doesn't see outside, she see inside. And she kind of connect because Victoria is so innocent. So that's why she goes like, I don't agree with everybody. And I'm gonna touch her. So that's connecting. So I think young Grisabella was Victoria.
Okay.
I think Demeter's in danger of becoming just like Grisabella. Whether or not she's like had contact with Grisabella, I don't picture that personally. I think maybe Bomb has though. Bomb knows her more. Yeah.
I think that Grisabella was the first to go off with Macavity, and Bomb happened to be around that similar time. After Bomb got out, Grizz, of course, didn't. And I almost have like a small feeling. I haven't really like thought so much about it, but I had like a slight moment the other week during the show where like possibly Demeter could be Grisabella's daughter, the daughter of her and Macavity.
That's interesting.
We always talk about like the colors of the costumes and all of that, but yeah, I think that Bomb had a really close relationship with Grisabella, and when Bomb got out, she kind of took in Demeter. Why? Still figuring it out in my show.
But then I also think, though, if you are sisters, then that means that Grizz is also your mom. Would be for Demeter. So is that something that, like, have you played with that on stage? Is like that is part of the family tree, essentially? I mean, for Bomb you have, but as Demeter, you're looking as a warning sign. As a warning sign of, like, that's my motherly warning sign.
Yeah.
Or
I've never thought about that on stage.
no. Okay, well, tonight, this is what I'm here for, is I'm slowly adding to theories. And this wasn't the crazy one that I had for you all, but I'd be curious to hear how does that land when you're on stage tonight, when she comes out.
Yeah.
It's like, Mom.
That'll bring a whole new meaning to her solo there during Remark. That'll be a whole completely different thing. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's more fun to think that Demeter doesn't even know that Grisabella is her mother.
Yeah.
And it's like more of an internal thing, which is why I've never brought it up.
No, I'm trying every day, and again, 100 episodes to influence this by adding layers to this that hadn't been thought of or have been thought of, but maybe for this performance haven't. Because you can play this so many different ways. You can say Mom today, not today.
Nobody told us when we stop working for Macavity or if we turn on him. And yet in the fight scene, I feel like it's very clear, at least in this version, that we are now with the Jellicle tribe. So this was like a journey that Taryn and I had to decide for ourselves. And I feel like it's been evolving. Even like
And it's grown over time,
few
for
weeks
sure.
a few weeks ago, we noticed that our points are different in the show, I guess.
So you were part of the crime game with Macavity, but
Right,
you're out now. So you think that by the time that this ball happens, you're not in the ring anymore.
In the ball, I feel like we still work for Macavity.
Okay, so is there a moment where you stop that feeling?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
When is that? When we're gonna be sitting down there? When are we gonna? When am I gonna see that moment and where you're just like, I'm out, I'm done?
And actually, we're proud because Alana saw our journey because she knows the show really well. She's like, I really liked that this was the moment.
Yeah. Well, there's two big moments that stick out to me. One is right before the ball where he's a fiend in feline shape, and he kind of leaves me, and I'm out there alone. And I'm like, oh my God, Macavity's gonna come after me, and now I don't have him to protect me or be with me through that. So that's kind of a moment of like hesitation, like I don't really want to do this anymore for Macavity. So that's a big turning point for me. And then again, when the fight happens and I get taken under his spell.
Right, and that is definitely where I switch because I mean Macavity treats female cats differently. Classic man.
Yeah.
You know, and so when he hypnotizes Rump, that's for sure my last straw. But I feel like where you can see the journey if you watch closely is every Macavity scare, because the very first Macavity scare we're not on stage, but the Macavity scare before the ball. It's more like, oh shit, he's gonna. Can I swear on your podcast? It's like he's gonna see us like hanging with the tribe, and he's gonna see that we're not like cool and serious, like we're playing with these. So at the first scare is like, get out of here before he notices us.
Yeah.
Where then like the second scare, it's after moments of happiness and we've grown a little and we're starting to like our family, and then it's less like, oh, he's gonna see us with them, and like oh, we don't want him to ruin this night for us is how we feel. Like, wow, God, why are you coming to ruin the joy of this night that we're finding together? And then when he finally comes, it's gone. Yeah.
So I don't think Syllabub is mine. I think Syllabub, I've always seen Syllabub as belonging to either Grizz and being the result of Grizz and Macavity's interactions, or some people even think that Syllabub is the product of Baum and McCavity's interaction.
Okay.
And I can definitely see either of those. I think the way I'm playing it is that she's Grizz's baby, and that part of the reason that I'm so pissed when Grizz re-enters is because, and this is something that Chrissy Cartwright and I actually talked directly about, is that, you know, when Grizz left, she had kids. You know, she was a mother too, and who was left to take care of them?
It's you.
Me.
Yeah.
Sure. I think Misto has this this competitive side, obviously, to him. So sometimes he's very like, oh, I'm interested, and sometimes he's like, I want nothing to do with this. So I definitely play with that contrast, and sometimes it's hard because like I'm switching on and off from like, oh, I'm interested in this, and I don't want to do this, or oh, I don't really care about this too much. So
Jenny was there when McCavity was born, you know, helped raise him, and that's part of the reason why I feel like a lot of the rest of the female cats in the show react terrified of McCavity because, you know, they're afraid that he's gonna sexually exploit them. That being said, I feel like I've always played it differently with McCavity because I know that I was a presence in his life from a young age, and that while he's not gonna do that to me because that would be strange because I acted as his mother figure as a child, he's still evil and is still hurting the people I love. So
You're gonna make the Jellicle choice tonight. Who are you picking and why?
Ooh, okay, that's a good question. And obviously I've been like prepared to talk about it. But I still keep going between two. Either Gus, because I feel like that's a staple answer, but he has lived such a good long life and has brought so much joy to so many people through the theater, obviously, as we know. And I want to give him another go at life, to either do it all again or to, you know, go out and live another sort of life that he wants to live. But then I also feel like Jenny Anydots would be a really good one because she has spent her whole life like making sure others are doing what they're supposed to, like keeping others in line, you know, trying to help the mice better themselves, help the cockroaches have sort of a purpose in life. And I just think that she should get a chance to
I love it.
come back and live for herself a little.
Who are you picking and why?
I'm picking Old Deuteronomy himself because he's been at the forefront of this tribe for so long. I was thinking about this today, and I've had different thoughts at different times, but that's who I'm feeling today.
Okay.
It's Old Deuteronomy himself. Why not demonstrate the relinquishment of power?
It's his time. I like it.
I think I have to pick Jenny because of Mungo's relationship.
Sucking up to her right there. I like it.
I have to. And I think by the end of the story, I do feel like maybe we've connected a bit more by the end, that I would feel confident to pick her, but reluctantly I choose Jenny.
Yeah, actually, we are on the same page there.
Okay.
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit, and even when we sneak up to Old Deuteronomy at the end, like he's gonna make the choice, we're like, take Jenny. And it is a con. I think you nailed it on the head because I don't think. No, the Jellicle choice is a moment of reverence. It's like such a thing, an important part of this tribe. But I don't know that these two idiots fully grasp it.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, let's do it.
Gus.
You're picking Gus.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. I love it.
But yes, like I know, like when Gus bow after his song, I know, like, oh, it's Gus.
Okay.
Okay, thought about this. I like that it's Grisabella, but I also think she's, especially in the revival version, she's definitely too young to die. So Gus makes the most sense in that respect, but he hasn't like gone through it as much as Grisabella has and like come out on top. Well, in the end, she comes out on top.
Yeah.
Not yet, but so I guess Gus.
Okay. Love it.
Gus, yeah.
Team Gus.
Team Gus. I'm like smiling all of Gus, and I don't have many moments with Gus, but I do think that like knows Gus from when she was a kid, and like she went to see his shows when he was acting with Irving and all that, right?
I've always been Team Gus. I've been Team Gus from like day one. And then, so I have a theory. I think it should have been Gus this year, and that everyone else was ready for it to be Gus this year before Grizzy Girl walked in and took it. And then I think that the next year it's going to be Jelly.
Definitely Gus.
Being Gus.
I think probably like most of the other people that you've interviewed, over the 100 episodes, you've probably heard, oh, it's just Grizz because that is how the story is structured.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily make the most sense. But I would definitely say Gus, and especially like last night, like when she's singing Memory, and like it was, my first time doing Gus, and I remembered like what Jeremy said that Chris said about like how Gus, like this is his year and he doesn't get picked, and then he crawls off stage and then he just dies.
Yeah.
This is like yeah.
Super dark. That's like,
Yeah,
he's not going to make it for next year.
He's not going to make it for another year.
Yeah.
And so I think that this, not to minimize, the plot that is in the show, but I feel like we could just be nice to Grizz. I don't know that she necessarily needs like a brand new start.
Yeah.
I know this is controversial for you, but I think it has to be Grizabella. I think it has to be Grizabella because
You're bringing her now, so now I understand why.
Oh no, now I feel like I have to, but no, I think because here's the thing: we see her in Memory, she falls to the ground, she's near death right now, and I know you're all about Gus, and so I get that he's also near death, but she's kind of telling us, I don't even have another day left in me. Like when she's walking after she sings before she's been touched, like she's like got her foot, not even her foot in the grave. She's going to the grave. Yeah. So I think it's like now or never.
Okay.
And so while it's bittersweet, because like, oh, we all understand that we were wrong now, and like we want to accept you. It's also like, well, we got to bring you up and not just die on this side of the street.
I will say, as Team Gus is, I think, the most logical argument.
Yeah.
My initial argument was to bring you two together. Was to bring Tugger and Mustaflis together.
Because we brought Deuteronomy back.
I have it because I view this as a singing competition. And the X Factor has a history of tying together two individual shows and make them a One Direction or a Fifth Harmony.
Sure.
So I took the two performances that I thought were super fun that would make a really good combination. Clearly, the personalities have some similarities. And let's boy band you two together, and let's send you up together.
Maybe rock started a heavy side there.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a me.
Okay.
It has to be Grizabella.
You're still picking Grizabella.
I have to pick Grizz.
You sounded like you had some hesitation. You're thinking maybe somebody else.
There are some others that I love, but like.
This is my chance to convince you otherwise. This is what I'm here for.
Okay, fine. Like I have two other cats that I just love because I also just love their songs. Maybe that's why. If I could, it would totally also be maybe like Bomb or like Rum Tum Tugger, maybe. Or Mistopheles. It's like a 3-split tie. Does that count? Yeah.
So I think there's, like with the Crime Game, there's a lot of opportunity to kind of say who else could we recruit for that? And I think the group that, as I've thought about who would be the most valuable for you and McCavity, are the twins.
Oh yeah.
And so
We love them.
Yeah, we love them.
what I'm curious, well, maybe you play this already, so maybe you can tell me if you do, but what I think and now that I know that there's a journey of where you're going to say, I'm part of the gang and then I'm not, is in the beginning, I want you to, are you trying to recruit them to be almost an asset? Because they know everything that's going to happen ahead of time. Like, they'd be super valuable for you in that. And then as you get later on, you're like, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, we're now not part of this gang. You're trying to like warn them, like, hey, I know I kind of brought you in, but now I need to get you out. Do you think that'll work?
Yeah. I know that you're like an expert on cats. Like, I've even heard a quote that you're in too deep.
Way too deep.
This is actually a very doable task. Do you realize how much we are close to them staging wise?
No.
We interact with the twins a lot.
Much.
I haven't seen the show on stage since 2017.
Great.
Oh my god.
I started the podcast in 2019.
Wow.
So all of this is me watching either a 1998 movie or soaking in 99 episodes of people telling me different things and trying to remember what I saw the two times I've seen it on stage.
And I mean, obviously every group of people has their own interpretation. You have to as an artist, otherwise it's just like, wow, you're just doing a pale imitation of that. But at least with this group of people, we've kind of talked about how the twins and Mungo Rump are like foil characters because we're all in the like teen area, which is hard to say because you're like, aren't they like thousands of years old? But like, we have like where they're like the better behaved.
They're the better
foil
behaved version of
characters,
us.
especially since everyone's like, oh, are those also twins? Like,
Yeah.
these two. But yeah, we are near them a lot, and I cannot wait to influence them. To
I know, me too.
So this goes back to I am in too deep. That I had no idea where your stage with them today. That's what I want to see is when you have some interactions with twins. It's like, hey, come with me, be part of it. Like this is gonna work.
I can't wait
but
to
then,
tell them that that's what's happening.
Yeah, I know. but then I also think that since you have those moments where you're like, oh, I'm out now. The end is like you gotta give them warning. Like, hey, don't like. I know I was trying to recruit you before, but we're done with this con. We're on to the next thing. Come with us over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that so much. Yeah.
We'll talk to you tomorrow and see if it worked or didn't work.
Cool.
Can't wait.
Awesome.
So excited.
Okay, so here's the thing. We got a lot we added to the show, right? Clearly, you're gonna have to bring
it's gonna be a
Grisabella in
juicy
today. but the one thing I want you two to try to take on stage, and I think as we watch the show, I think part of this is gonna be the fun of getting to hear, did this actually work or not? Is I want to go back to that boy band.
Okay.
So I think I want to have, and I know you kind of sing each other's songs. You have moments where you kind of are definitely interacting on stage. I want you to have in that moment the like aha moment, the recognition of like we could make the best boy band if we did this. So when you're getting ready to kind of do your numbers, being like, should we be doing this together? Yeah, so I think that's the moment. I'm curious to see. Does that work tonight? And
we definitely have so many moments where we're like intertwined and connected that we could definitely play off of that.
I got that. I already have ideas.
me too.
The wheels are already spinning.
So one thing that there is a debate about with Victoria is could Grisabella potentially be your mom? And that she abandoned you and then you come back and that's actually where the relationship comes back. So I would be curious tonight when you play and you have you're going on is when you see Grisabella, you have the realization that that was your mother. And does that work or not work? And we'll ask you tomorrow if you think that theory holds when you're on stage of, I thought about it, mom could have been, or no, not at all.
Yeah, I would try that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be sitting right over there.
Yeah.
We're going to watch. And when she
Great.
comes out,
Yeah.
I want to be like, I want you to have the either mom kind of thought
Yes,
or
right.
you have that and it's like, nah, it didn't work.
Okay.
Here's my idea for you all tonight. I think one is I love the idea of potentially having Grisby mom.
Yeah.
But my other idea would make you not sisters. So there's a ton of fan fiction and pictures about Tugger Mistopheles.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot about Bomb and Demeter.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a potential for that to be a relationship and not a sister or friend.
I've pondered it before. I've definitely pondered that before, and I think it makes it tracks.
Okay.
It tracks.
So tonight, when you're performing, are there moments where you can be like, maybe this is us tonight?
Yeah. There can be a lot of moments like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm down. Let's do it.
So Jenny is, as you mentioned, his mom has a bunch of the kittens, but she's very much a caregiver. And I don't think that there's a lot of opportunity that Jenny thinks for herself.
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity for you to have a moment or two tonight where it's like, maybe I should have thought for myself. And I originally thought that maybe that's when McCavity comes out. Like, you know what? I've always taken care of, I'm protecting with, but maybe it's my time to have the bad boy and kind of like go down that route of like, you know what? Let's go have a fun night and let's ignore it. So is that something you think could track? Could you play that tonight?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think there is to an extent where Jenny, and this is something that I've sort of battled within myself because I am the type of person to be like, wow, let's have fun all the time. Like that's me as a human being. And that's something I've actually had to subdue more with Jenny. And I think you'll see tonight that there are some places where I do that. And I'll try to show you that.
I think I want to go back to your original Christmas point. So since you went on as Peter, and then you're going on as Skimble, and you've got this kind of Christmas, bell. My Peter thought was that he's actually Saint Peter.
Oh, really?
And then when you said, hey, the opening is actually not part of it, that even adds more layers to that. That really he's there because there's also Baby Grizz in the opening number. So I think Peter's Saint Peter, Baby Grizz is what I've been calling the ghost of Catsmas Pass. They're coming back. They're getting this. But I want you tonight, when you're doing that in the opening number, you're having that moment, and you see Peter and Baby Grizz having that like, oh, this is the Christmas story I've got going on. Like just that recognition. Does that land? I want to see. I want to hear tomorrow. Is there any validity to that? Or is that way too far out of left field?
Sure. Yeah. I'm excited because there's a perfect moment where me and Tay make eye contact every night during that number. So I'm sure that'll be what's on my mind.
You're gonna think
today.
You're gonna think she's down here wondering what that decision did
like
to all the rest of your lives.
Charles Dickens story.
Yeah.
Happening at the National.
At the National DC. That's what we're here for.
I don't know if I've ever thought about that, and I've thought about a lot of cats theories.
We're here for day 2. We're back, and we gave a lot of theories yesterday. So I want to hear from all of you. One, what did any of them work? When you heard your theories, you got to play them yesterday, did they land? Did they make sense? Did they not make sense? And then 2, since you didn't get to all hear each other's theories, did you notice anybody else's that I might have teased? So who wants to go first? I'll maybe just pass the mic around.
Yes. Hey.
Okay, I actually think that the Tugger theory that Luke brought up is very much working because I'm now very much like mapping out my first entrance in my head and my reactions with Tugger and how standoff he is, where like he doesn't even like to make eye contact with me, where I'm like, oh, this totally might have happened. This totally might have happened. But Luke?
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm glad I told you that because honestly, it's been going on in my head, and so I'm glad that I brought it to the forefront of all of at least the 2 of our heads. So Tugger Bella is going strong, but in terms of the one you gave for Tugger and Misto, it really helped me just like define some more things in the show last night, which was just fun. You know, we're forming our boy band.
There were some moments I noticed.
Did you notice it? Okay.
Moments I noticed that you guys gave like little handshakes or high fives, and then some little.
Yeah.
They're ready.
Oh, good. I love that. Yeah, we definitely did add an exuberant amount last night, which was good. It was fun.
Who else has thoughts?
Mine didn't work. Mine was like that I was supposed to sort of be like into McCavity as like a bad boy type of thing. I tried it once and was immediately like, no, Jenny wouldn't do that. Jenny wouldn't do that. But
into him, but you don't want to be my friend.
But no, for sure not. But I do feel like it inspired me to make other different choices throughout the night. I made that I was into Bomb Ballerina the whole night. And Erica noticed and came up to me and was like, so can we talk about like what you talked to him about? Because I felt like a very different vibe, a very different energy from you tonight. So that was really fun because I like had that moment where I tried it and was like, no, I don't like this. And then I immediately was like, okay, but I'll pick someone else to be into.
Yeah, you picked a separate bad boy.
So I picked a separate bad boy, and it was Erica Cianciulli. And it was really fun.
I would like to add that instead of Jenny any dots, it could be Jenny any bomb. Thank you.
Take that, Cats Tumblr.
Oh, you want to go?
Well, I think like the flavoring of your theory for us, like wanting to like recruit the twins, was what we had. Recruit the twins to our crime syndicate. It was there in how we viewed them and in our interactions referencing them, but it was actually very hard to break their facade because they are like stoic walls. So I do not think that they joined us.
Yeah, I don't think.
And also, I feel like Act 1, there's no time. It's a 5, 6, 7, 8. You are moving. So Act 2, we're like, all right, we've got 3 numbers to recruit these 2. Yeah.
Gus the theater cat, though, I saw you trying.
We were trying, but they have their walls up.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Our Coracle Pat is super, like, so warm and loving. So anytime I was like, he was going with it. Like, he was super invested and, like, sweetie and, like, happy. And I don't think he knew what I was going to ask him for. So, we tried.
We tried.
You got more shows to recruit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it definitely influenced how we would, like, scope them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how we felt about every time a cavity was either around or all the scares really came became really specific.
And you said if we noticed other people's, I admit that I asked other people because I was interested, but I did see Yuka's journey as Victoria, especially in approaching Grisabella. But maybe she needs to talk about that.
Yeah, what was it?
Yes. So mine was like if Grisabella is like my mom. Yeah. So and that was really interesting and it worked and gave me more curiosity to like why I feel so connected with her. And then like it was really interesting and like I made like new choices and I liked it. And I'm glad you see it, like because it's subtle, like
Like also on behalf of Grisabella the Glamour Cat, I apologize for abandoning.
That's interesting, right? Yeah.
I was nervous because I haven't been on for Demeter in a while, so I was like, I gotta focus. But actually, our circumstance like added and like made sense and motivated like so many moments. I don't know if you noticed, but it was like
I noticed. I was curious if anybody else noticed.
that we were lovers.
I just thought about something between you and I.
Oh.
I thought about what if we were possibly sisters? Which is why like
Well,
because
I was thinking of you as my mother.
Oh.
But maybe.
Because like you know how like Grisabella's very much because you know how like Chrissy Cartwright in rehearsals would always be like a big kind of like blueprint for the newer Grisabella that is still very much like youthful and glamour-esque, like is very much still like is comes from like Amy Winehouse, how like she was like 27 but still so like worn down. So I'm wondering, it's just like what if like we're very much close in age, I just because of life and the path I chose, I just have aged so rapidly that like you would never know that we were maybe close in age or we're siblings.
I like that.
Because I think about the yearning that like I always have yearning moments with you in the ball, not even in the opening, but like right before Little Memory and Big Memory, where it's just like it's always like I remember Kim and Chrissy always going like you're having this yearning and reaching with Bomb, where I'm like, sister, maybe. I just thought about that.
Yeah.
Because it's like I think about my relationship with Bomb and how I talk about how Bomb is maybe my friend who like was like, okay, stay here. I guess I'll raise your kids, and then maybe I don't know, maybe my sister.
Oh, I don't think about that today.
There you go.
I like that. I think Erica would agree though that it like totally worked, and I think the only downfall, I was a little too into it. Erica's so hot. I mean, I was neglecting Monk a little bit, and which is like, I'm supposed to be in love with Monk.
I will say, Tucker felt a little neglected from Bomb yesterday. I actually did notice that, and I thought, like, what did he tell them to do?
We were really into each other last night.
Wait, I retract that you're my sister because Monk is my son.
Oh, that'd be.
That's also why Erica was also taken aback then when I started in on her. Because there's this very strange love triangle happening that I don't think has ever happened before last night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Intriguing for everyone.
It was so fun. It was very fun.
All right, Zam, you had a wild one. So
I had a hard one. I'm gonna be honest. So mine was that I always like to view the prologue as like not really like being the first like chronological thing. I kind of like view it by itself, and then like we start. And so we talked about I think there's like a lot of like Skimbleshanks the Christmas Cat stuff on Tumblr, and there's like this whole like backstory of like he was on the train one day and Santa came to visit on Christmas and gifted him a little silver bell for Christmas, and then that's why he like has such literally yes, and then that's why he wears the little bell around his neck during the feature, is because he like cherishes that, and that's why he like has a love for the trains and stuff. Because Santa gifted him to him when he was on the train.
Think about how the theme of your song is in the moments of happiness, going ding, 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 ding.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, it's in moments of happiness of many generations. Do, 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 do.
Nice. I think that's usually when I'm crunching my cough drop.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. But
Today because it's like bells.
I'll have to keep my ears peeled for that. But we talked about Peter being Saint Peter, and Grisabella kind of being like the ghost of Christmas past almost. We were talking about A Christmas Carol. So that one, I wouldn't say that I felt it like working, but I definitely got a good laugh out of it when I looked at you during the strut circle. I was just like, oh my word. Yeah, that's why I was doing a little extra last night. But I was super aware of like the Tugger relationship because I remember you saying that was going to be the one that's the one that you came in with talking about. And maybe it's just because we're roommates and obviously like get along really well. But there was like this really cute moment right before my manners vague and aloof, where like I'm like there trying to do something before I have a reason to go grab the flower pot, and Luke gave me like this nice little smirk, and I felt like I felt like that arc of like redemption and Skimble deciding to like Tugger isn't too bad. I just felt that arc that we sort of talked about yesterday, and that was really fun. Yeah, yeah, and I felt quite a lot of pride wearing that bell during that feature. Yeah, and I'm sorry for shining the light in your eyes, even though I said I wouldn't.
This was amazing. I love that we added a love triangle that didn't exist. We added some other theories. You picked a new one. We added a Christmas Carol. This is what I was here for. 100 episodes. My goal was to slowly, loosely influence the show.
That you did.
And I feel like I'm working my way towards that. So.
More than loosely.
Loosely, yeah.
Yeah, pretty influenced.
I'm influencing the show. Well, thank you all. This was absolutely a blast. We had so much fun watching and seeing those moments, and I'm glad to hear that you all enjoyed playing them, and hope you can bring them to future cities too as you continue. So.
Thank
you. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Dominic Fortunato. I play Pouncival, and I don't think the wrong cat died.
Hi, my name's Sam Bello. I play Syllabub, and I do believe that the wrong cat died.
Hi, my name is Brendan Moran, and I play Tumble Brutus, and I think the wrong cat died.
Hi, my name's John Zamborsky, and I do think that the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm Sammy Fossum. I play Alonzo, and I believe the wrong cat died.
Hi, my name is Ellie. I'm a swing, but I'm on for Bond Ballerina today, and I do think the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a swing. I'm Demeter today, and I believe the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm Taryn. I play Rumple Teaser, and I believe the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'm a swing, and today I'm Victoria, and I do not believe that the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm Allison. I play Jelly Lorem, and I believe the wrong cat died.
Hi, I'm Michelle E. Carter. I play Jenny Anydots, and I know the wrong cat died.
Thank you for listening to this historic 100th episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. Be sure to check out the video at bpn.fm/TWCD100 for The Wrong Cat Died 100th. And again, thank you to the Cats team, the National Theater, and everyone that we worked with over the weekend. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.